Good afternoon. I'm privileged to participate in this panel and be in the company of all of you who have given your time and your heart to our Jewish community. I will begin my address by recalling a fond memory of my first connection to the JCC in my hometown of Mercer Island, Washington. I attended the Mercer Island JCC preschool, and my strongest memory of my years there is about the lunch bags that each preschooler received at the beginning of each year. The lunch bags were made of cloth, lined in plastic, and had a picture of each child on the front so that children knew which one was theirs. Each year we would get a new lunch bag with a new picture on the front. These lunch bags intrigued me and have stuck with me since, as each person's lunch bag picture was somewhat indicative of their identity, and even as a preschooler, the identities in my community fascinated me. Each year, I would await the new lunch bag and picture with excitement. Although I may not have fully understood and appreciated this back then, I had a sense that there was something very special about a new year and a new picture, which bred a sense of transformation and growth. In every lunch bag, each preschooler had different food, depending on what their parents packed that day. Some had prepackaged lunches, and some were homemade. Some had sandwiches on white bread, and some had sandwiches on wheat bread because their mothers wouldn't let them have white bread. Me. But there was usually one thing in each lunch bag that was common: a note from the parent who made the lunch, wishing their child a great day or another form of a caring note. When it came time for lunch, we came together with our lunch bags at a large table. At the table, we witnessed the diversity in each other's outside picture and inside contents of the lunch bags. But two things united our lunch bags. First, our good fortune of having backgrounds of support and family, as we all had lunches. And second, the fact that we were all at the same table eating together as a community. In my view, not much has changed since preschool. Our lunch bags, which represent our background and the subsequent ways we communicate with the world, transform every year. The outside clearly changes, and the contents change as well. Sometimes parents got too busy to put notes in their lunch bags, just as there are times of hardship in each of our lives. But in the end, we all eat at the same table and share a community, the Jewish community. But I'm not just here to tell you about how we are all one big JCC preschool that is the Jewish community. I'm here to tell you my story about how I got from the JCC preschool to addressing you at this conference today. I represent only one of the JCC preschoolers in a classroom full of now young adults who have undergone personal journeys to where we are today. But I believe that I can speak to my experiences to explain how those at the Jewish community's table have transformed me and how I reciprocate by transforming those at my table. Thus, I will tell you my story in hopes of shedding light on how the JCC may be able to cultivate more meaningful Jewish journeys. The summer before my senior year of high school, I went to Israel for the first time on a science program. While there, I fell in love with Israel, and my positive notions of it grew even more after I came home. In my rabbi's word, I had caught the Israel bug, the feeling of missing the land, and the urgency to get back as soon as possible. So I did. The next summer, after much begging, my family took a trip back to Israel. After that summer, I began studying at Scripps College in Claremont, California. During my first semester, I received a hostile email condemning Israel for crimes against humanity and apartheid. This was not the Israel that I had experienced and loved, and I was upset that this email was so one-sided. I wished to properly defend my Israel, but I didn't know how. I learned that these assertions were not out of the norm, so I took it upon myself to learn more. The next semester, I took every opportunity to learn about the conflict from the Israeli and the American perspectives. I attended conferences, switched my major to political science, and became a fellow of various organizations. Through these organizations, I was able to fund a pro-Israel club called the Claremont Students for Israel. When it came time to study abroad, nobody was surprised that I chose to go to Israel. There, I interned in the field of counterterrorism and security. Many of my fellow Jewish peers who were on Claremont Students for Israel board with me, as well as those on long-term programs in Israel, used those experiences as a springboard to strengthen our Jewish identity. But what exactly got us to strongly identify as Jews, and what would it take for us to continue and expand that identity when we get back to campus, home, or even make Aliyah? First, my ideas about how we are successfully cultivating these transformations. My leadership grew when I got to college, where I was offered the resources to create a club related to whatever I cared about, and there were Jewish organizations to lend support. There were also incentives for individuals to lead, such as free trips to Israel, stipends, social events, and leadership trainings. Jewish organizations provided funding, allowing us to organize lectures, events, and meetings on campus. I found other students who had similar interests and recruited them to join. We organized an event called Less Hamas, More Hummus, which was so successful that Committee for Accuracy in Middle East Reporting in America, CAMRA, chose it for their nationwide campus campaign against Hamas. The structural opportunities from the Jewish organizations were vital for my club's success. And even more, they were vital for my success in transforming into a young adult who is passionate about and finds meaning in Judaism. More resources can be used to support and train the staff and directors of Jewish organizations on college campuses, who could then more effectively promote available opportunities to students. But obviously, these opportunities may only work on people who feel a passion or interest in Judaism in the first place, which is where our community faces the biggest challenge. After getting national recognition for my group and participating in a long-term Israel program, I was invited to a young Jewish leadership seminar in Israel. Through relationships that I developed with my Jewish peers and with the land, out of my love for Israel grew my love for Judaism. I took informal classes about Jewish spirituality and attended Shabbat dinners almost every week with families in Jerusalem. It was through community engagement that I finally connected to my history, culture, and faith in a way I had never before. These experiences in college and in Israel led me to be nominated to speak at the Israeli Presidential Conference in Jerusalem on a panel about the future of Jewish leadership. At this panel, I was asked to discuss some of the problems facing the Jewish community from a young leader's perspective and provide some potential solutions. This panel was vital for me in two ways. First, it was where I met Leah Garber, the Vice President of the JCC office in Israel, who asked me to be here today. And second, it got me thinking further about how I can be an element of change to improve the condition of the global Jewish community. I view this transformation in identity and subsequent leadership as a vital step for young Jews who will face some dire consequences if the trend of unaffiliated young Jews continues. But more importantly, I grew because I found fulfillment in leading and because I want the best for our future. After I graduate this May, I will be again traveling to Israel with Core 18, a new social entrepreneurship program that gives fellows the resources to imagine and actualize their own business ventures in the Jewish community. I'm incredibly excited to begin this next part of my journey in Jewish leadership. With that said, please allow me to propose one area in which our community can better foster Jewish journeys like mine. In my opinion, the most pressing problem we face, illustrated by the infamous Pew Forum study on American Jews, is the lack of Jewish identity and affiliation among young Jews. Many leaders are Jewish, but they're not necessarily Jewish leaders. I had to be pushed to see the importance of pro-Israel leadership when I got that one-sided email. There are plenty of examples of young Jews who find their identities along their journeys, but not many who would name Judaism as a large part of that journey. Early on, we should show why it's so important to apply Judaism in both thought and action while leading and finding our own identities. This identity and connection to Judaism is not something that can be merely shown. Rather, it is a very personal journey that individuals learn on their own. Nevertheless, the community is vital to these journeys, as mentors inspire the initial spark. Now, I would like to pause for a moment and ask all of you to think about what ignited your passion for Judaism. Chances are, what you're thinking about is a specific person or event that engaged you. I have found that these sparks begin with the community interaction and connection. And by community, I mean the entire global Jewish community. In an age of incredible globalization, we have the opportunity to learn and connect internationally to our Jewish and brothers and sisters. After these leaders are cultivated, we can inspire them to organize on a national and international level. We should first turn outwards by investing more in international leadership opportunities and pilgrimage to Israel. International leadership can be supported through organizations like the JCC, that foster Jewish communities from all over the world to dialogue and organize together. Then we can turn to our local Jewish communities with an understanding of the challenges that face the global Jewish community, what leaders are doing to address those challenges, and putting our minds together globally to further engage and problem solve. Thank you very much to the JCC, my friends, family, and supporters, and of course, those who are sitting at this metaphorical lunch table with me, the table that is the Jewish community. At this table, I continue to find inspiration in the nosh and the schmoozing, the most simple and natural things that give my life deep meaning. I encourage everyone at this conference to continue being agents of change in your community, and of course, to find plentiful sweet things in your lunch bag. Thank you.